Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Live with Liz. Today we're talking about team building. And before we get into it, happy Passover. It is Passover. Happy spring if you're not celebrating Passover. Happy Pascua, Easter, whatever. This is a happy week just overall. So enjoy if you're on vacation. Check me out later. If not, today we're talking about team building for law firms. And let's see if I can come back here. Good morning, Leah. When I was in-house, I was always crazy surprised at how disjointed and disconnected some of the outside counsel firms were that represented the corporates that I worked for as the internal representative. And it was surprising to me how little they felt it or knew when things just didn't go right. And this is somewhat cultural. I worked across lots of different jurisdictions. So when I was dealing with different law firms, there are different levels of power distance, there are different levels of respect, there are different formalities. And in the US, we're generally fairly laid back. There are some exceptions to this, but I would say we're a lot more casual on a corporate side than on the law firm side. That law firms tend to have a very high level of formality, more power distance, and thus tend to appear less connected and less like a team. But the corporate expectation and the client expectation is often that they expect a team. And sometimes it was even apparent that people just didn't want to work together at a law firm. There's internal competition between lawyers. There is even sometimes this evident disdain if you try and get someone who's not on a case or not the client relationship person to step in and handle something. But that affects the quality of your service, the timing of your service, your overall productivity, and can make you lose clients. And this is why team building at law firms is crucial to the productivity and functionality of a law firm and its overall success and ability to obtain clients. So what do I mean by this? Sometimes it's legitimate where you have a lot of different practitioners who maybe have different levels of expertise and can't step in to help each other out. But often it's not just this. It could be a communication issue. It could be this fear internally from stepping on someone's toes. It could be a workflow issue, and it could be that you just don't have enough people or the right people to tackle the tasks at hand. These things may not be readily apparent to you on the law firm side, but often they can be felt on the client side before you even know that it's an issue. And then what happens when you don't have that team building mentality at the law firm and you don't recognize these issues right away, so you could start losing clients who recognize these things without them even being able to articulate it. So maybe you're thinking about, why a client left. Maybe you're conducting your annual survey, or you give a call to a client who's recently departed and you've received their request to remove files, and you say, hey, Joe Schmo client, maybe think of a better client name. Why are you heading out? I thought we had a good thing here. I thought you were happy with our services. And they say, well, actually, there were some things that didn't go exactly as we expected, and we decided to go with another firm. Or maybe they don't even want to tell you, or maybe they don't even know why, and they just make up an excuse, such as, we acquired someone else and they had another law firm and we're being forced to use them. Oh, the GC made us choose a different firm that has preferential treatment with us. It's not you, it's us. Oftentimes, it comes down to these little issues that are not readily identifiable that have to do with the nature of your team's operation and how you work together. Whatever it is that gives off this image of disjointedness or the inability to function as a team, when you lose clients, you have no choice. You have to consider what to do about it. So if it's not every little issue and every little piece of productivity, just tackle one thing at a time. Now, you might be surprised to learn that there's actually data to back this up, that collaborative teams at law firms actually are more productive and have better outcomes for their clients than teams that are not really functioning as teams. And it's not about cross-selling at a law firm, although that can be important and it can be an opportunity when your clients are loyal and happy with the work that you're doing, and when you're trying to get more clients, maybe there are opportunities for this type of activity. Cross-selling can be something that actually demonstrates your ability to function as a team, where you say, oh, we function this way and we offer these services, but over here my partner is also offering these services, and we have the full package for you together. You often see this in intellectual property. You often see this in smaller firms that are not related to corporate client work, but that have figured it out when they're dealing with, for example, family law. So a lot of different issues come up when you're dealing with different practice types and you're trying to figure out how to handle these things. Now, what are the reasons that these issues might elude you, that you might be having them? It could be related to communication. That's a usual first suspect, is communication. It could be a gender barrier at your firm, where we know that the makeup of a firm is largely male dominated at the leadership side and female dominated on the administrative side. That gender barrier also leads to communication issues, also leads to power distance, also projects this image of disconnectedness. So a gender barrier is something to actually consider when you're looking at how your team functions and flows. Flows is another thing, your workflow. Do you have the right people handling the right tasks at the right step in a relationship as you're dealing with your client? That's a good question to ask and an assessment to make when you're trying to consider how the team can function better. If you have a lack of diversity, this is one of the things that keeps surprising people and comes up when it comes to how a team functions at a law firm and how a law firm offers services. Why is it important to have diversity? What does that mean in terms of servicing your client? And that gives you the perspective that you need to bring people together. That is overlooked by a lot of law firms. And while we don't have time in our 15-minute weekly coffee to go into everything about how diversity improves productivity at firms, if you want to have a one-on-one with me about this, I'll do it. I won't even charge you. Give me a call and we'll set something up and we'll talk about diversity exclusively. Now, of course, you can implement these team building activities, but the way you do it is often maybe not so effective. Like when the leaders, hey, Mariana, good morning, you're up early. It's often one of these things where you have your annual holiday party and, okay, everybody shows up, but it's like you're forced to be there and you don't really want to be there. Hey, Ahu, nice to see you. Hey, thanks. Yeah, this topic is something that I really took note of and actually really left law firm representation because of it, where you're like, no, as Americans, we expect you to work as a team. And if you can't work as a team, then maybe you're not the team for us. And it wasn't until I worked on the private practice side that I really noticed how big of a problem it was, when I realized that even in private practice, even at one firm, lawyers were often in competition with one another. And there are some issues with pay structures, there are some human resource conditions that have to be considered. All of these things come together. But, if you have a leadership issue and you have this power distance, and then you only have your one holiday party or two events per year to bring people together, maybe you need to take a look at your overall culture and try and figure out what's the best way forward and what a law firm can do to improve these conditions, perform more like a team, and thus achieve that level of productivity that your clients are expecting and hoping for. So that's the first thing. Check yourself. The first step. As a leader, as a partner, as a law firm owner, take a good look in the mirror and say, where am I doing things right? Where can I improve when it comes to all of these issues? Communication, gender gaps, diversity, communication again, look at that, keeps popping in. Workflows, legal technology, maybe it's documentation, maybe it's cross-training and not cross-selling. Can other people pick up the slack? Do other people have the authority? Are they empowered to speak to a client when a client needs to hear from someone? All of these things can be difficult for a leader at a firm to spot themselves. And this is one of the areas where it may be crucial to bring in a third-party expert who has the ability to come in and say, okay, where are the pain points? Another way you can check your firm is to ask your team. And not everyone will be willing to share what they feel about how the team functions or dysfunctions in certain cases, but asking them will automatically create some trust and let them know that you're interested in how everything functions, their overall success, happiness. The happiness factor is absolutely important. So ask the team. And you can do this anonymously. Of course, you can do a suggestion box or a digital suggestion box now that many people are virtual, and bring people together that way to make sure that you're taking into account what people at every level of your firm think, do, act. This is important to understand. And try and reduce that power distance, which maybe you feel you've earned. Maybe it's part of who you are because that's how you got successful. But take a step back and realize that you are successful because of the people who work with you, and that if you can't function as a team, it's a problem. Now, maybe it's a workflow issue. Maybe you don't have the right people on your team doing the right things. Maybe you don't have enough people. And this, of course, again, you've got this HR function, but if you're having difficulty finding the right people, maybe you're not looking in the right places as a law firm. In the United States, there are a lot of places where you can build your team and find the right people on lawcrossing.com or lawjobs.com, where it's very specific. But all around the world, we have LinkedIn now. And even when I get resumes or when I'm looking at building the team, I'm looking for people and I'm going straight to their LinkedIn profile and trying to find them no matter what channel they arrived. I'm looking at their LinkedIn profile. I'm looking at their social media in general, but LinkedIn is the one that resonates the most when you're thinking about their work culture, their professional ethics, the activities that they are capable of doing. And then consider when you're adding to your team the type of person you want, the culture at the firm, so that you can perhaps find someone who's a good fit personality wise, but maybe doesn't have the background or education or experience. And then if they happen to fit, plan for their training to make them a part of your team and to make them successful in the services you offer. It's often a better way to go than finding someone with this stellar background and this killer attitude if they're going to be maybe a successful salesperson but make the whole team come down as they do it. Not worth it. So those are things to consider as you're building out your team. And then you check yourself, you check your team, check your culture, and maybe make some differences and changes when it comes to how you approach certain things in your firm, how you conduct team building activities throughout the year, not just that one holiday party, but make it a part of, everything that it takes place at your firm to have some sort of personal connection. You take all of these steps to make personal connections with your clients and completely ignore sometimes the personal connections at your firm. And in order for you to function as a team, and I'm not talking about this other issue where you function as a family. That's different, and it's often controversial because people are looking at a firm to be a meritocracy instead of functioning as a team, instead of functioning as a professional unit and not as a family, and having that family firm mentality can backfire. So find the balance, but check your culture and see if there are things in your policies that can change with regard to welcoming the communication, welcoming people's ideas and expectations, and making sure that if people have an understanding of how things are going with a client, you find out before it's a problem and the client leaves. And if you create these policies where people feel empowered to talk with you, to speak with clients, to assist clients, and to not step on people's toes in the process, you'll find that it's much more successful in the end. And if you have questions about how team building works or could work, if you want to bring in an expert from Firm Forward to come in and find those pain points or talk about them with you, or even figure out a plan forward for how to grow your firm, taking these things into consideration, as well as all of the other aspects of providing your services, we would be more than happy to help you out. Shoot us an email at solutions@firmforward.com and we can take a look at this together. And if you have any questions, you know where to find us. Please join us for Live with Liz on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Houston time, or check out our recordings afterward. We're trying to get these out everywhere so that people can find them and be a part of it. And thank you so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your week. I'm really sucking at these video exits, so I'm going to try this again. So bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.